Hey folks, Milspec Ops Monkey here. Listen, before we get started, I just wanted to talk a little bit about where I get my information. The guys over at Forward Observer are absolutely the best in the industry. It is my go-to for every one of my SITREPs, the first place I look. It's where I send my team for gathering information for the SITREP that I do. I will tell you, every one of them are former military intelligence guys who are dialed into what's going on around this planet. As we get into this 2024 election cycle, they have come out with a new product you're going to love. It's called the Far Left Playbook. If you actually click on the banner right here below me, and or just hold up your phone, and your camera will actually highlight that. You can just select it. It'll take you straight to their landing page. And again, it's Forward Observer, the best on the planet. You're going to love this new playbook that comes out every Friday, and it's going to give you just an idea of exactly where the left is headed in terms of disruptions and riots and all the other stuff that they like to do. But again, Forward Observer is absolutely the best on the planet in terms of intelligence. And I would highly encourage you to go there and put this into your quiver. All right, that's it. Let's talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. And well, that was pretty soon, wasn't it? All right, listen, it's going to be our SITREP. It is 11:02 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas and live in the Monkey Lounge. And so without further ado, if you would, hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification. It helps our channel out tremendously. And let's get over here to our mini board. We're going to start it off in Skyglass as always. And we are looking at the tankers right now, air refuelers that are currently up. Remember, Flashbang is out of the country. He is headed from Ramstein right now over to Germany, or about to head that, or I say Ramstein, Germany, over to India, where he's going to go dabble in some curry, I would imagine, and a little bit of word salad added to that meal. So just notice, again, headed down south to the border. This area, you're going to notice when I show you one of the aircraft on our watch list today is LaSalle Aviation. It's an intelligence gathering airplane. It is going to be over the same area where these guys are. Now, that aircraft doesn't have air refueling capabilities. These guys here are supporting some fighters out here, okay? But the fact that LaSalle is now running a little bit of recon on this border tells me that they are interested in something happening over on our southern border here, and I don't think it's immigrants. They may be coming through with immigrants, but it's probably cartel-related, or it could be anything. Other military governments that are setting up shop over here, or government military. Scratch that, reverse it. Okay, it's going to be one of those days. I can already feel it. So, all right. Then, of course, down here around the Panhandle, up the eastern seaboard, again, these are air refuelers, all right? Now, the other thing I want to look at, we're going to peel this back. Let me take away these traces. And I want to take a look at the C-130s real time. I did pull the data for C-17s over the last 10 days. 650 plus flights. But this, if we go grab the C-130s that are up right now, this will kind of just paint a picture. We've got 14 of the C-130Js, C-130 just in general cargo. These are going to be logistics birds, okay? Give it a second to marinate and load the traces, because remember, this thing paints that trace line every 5 seconds for a flight up to 24 hours. And but these are live up, so this is going to kind of pull in where they are currently at the moment. And let me see. I'll just throw the C-17s in there for S&Gs just to see how that looks. Little C-2s. Why not? Let's just paint that little picture. So I go through it. I think we've got most of the cargo birds identified. So this is where we are. The interesting thing, this is that's Raider 45. What I'm not seeing, which I find very interesting, down here is and we'll look at this in just a minute with the weather stuff, but there's a Cat 4 hurricane that is down here, I think even Cat 5, right out here off the coast of Baja. I don't see any teal flights. I'm not seeing hurricane hunters, whatever you want to call them, the NOAA guys. Nobody's out here looking at this. I don't get that, unless maybe they've got some balloons up that can do weather stuff as well. Maybe. If we look at the rest of the C-130, C-17s over the U.S., you can see just kind of eastern seaboard, some short moves. The C-17s are kind of long haul. The C-130s are short haul. But again, you know, normally when you've got hurricanes out here, you see the teal aircraft. The teal is the call sign, TEAL, or the NOAA birds. And I'm not seeing that. I do see some NOAA aircraft that are out in this general region that may be doing some flights later today, but it's really, really odd, really strange, I guess I could say. So, okay, let me bounce over here. This is going to be Europe in terms of C-130s, C-17s. Again, you can see just kind of the normal locations. This one right here is, that's RZE Poland, all right, in and out. So that's a little delivery. That's a Canadian C-130. Little C2, that is, I forget the Hound version, but it's a little small Navy jumper, carries some cargo, can land on carriers. A couple C-130s out over Portugal and Spain. And then who is this? Moroccan military over their general area in Africa. And a little further south. Yeah, it looks like some stuff going on out here in this general region. That would be over the Saudi area and Bahrain. So back to the U.S. on this one. I'm going to just hit our little hopper. We'll get back over here, and then I'm going to get a total roll-up, and then we're going to look at the C-17 data, okay? And that paints a picture of how active they've been last 10 days. So this will give you, let's see, total count 316 on the board. Very active, very high. Keep in mind, I've already pulled out about 56 trainers out of that. So that's a pretty elevated number, all right? Okay, now let's do this. Let's look at the watch list. And you're going to notice here that we've got a fair amount of survey flights up. Again, we're pushing, again, close to 200 for the last 3 days. We'll look at that closer in just a minute. But a lot of R-135s, kind of in the usual locations, B-52 up north. Again, normal. I don't see anything out of the norm. That's the LaSalle right there, the same spot we just saw the air refuelers headed to our border. That is a contractor, DOD contracted reconnaissance bird. And then notice the agency birds headed westbound. Those are going to be your Phoenix Airs. Those are the primary carriers for the agency, aka the farm. All right. So that's where those guys are headed. And 3 of them up right now. We've seen them in Europe just recently. And then notice the R-135s, again, very active over Europe. So, you know, things look like they are getting interesting. And then, of course, Turkey spying on its citizens. Look at the amount of drones that are just always up over Turkey. Just kind of crazy. Okay, here's C-17 data. Look at this. This is 10 days, 646 C-17 flights. A lot in and out of Hickam. A lot out of Seattle, Tacoma. A lot out of Beale Air Force Base, just to the east of San Francisco, all the way up the eastern seaboard. Very, very active. This is the kind of stuff I normally wouldn't see, you'd see in 30 days. So there is definitely an uptick in movement of goods. Again, C-17's long haul. That's the Globemaster. You can load a lot of stuff on there. Just notice they're all over the place. India, Bahrain, very, very active in Bahrain lately. And then Japan, Australia, Philippines, okay? And now this is everybody. This isn't just the U.S. This is every C-17 on the planet, okay? All right. Now let's talk weather for a minute as we get into some of this. Pointing out, again, this is where the current one is. It was up to a Cat 5. Looks like it's weakened a little bit. It's down to about a 1 or a 2 hurricane there. But I want to point out, again, a lot of NOAA birds parked here. Nobody really doing anything yet. This is right off the coast of Baja, the very lower tip of Baja. Looks like you'd think it's headed out here to the Pacific, but notice the wind direction. All right, that is your jet stream. That could very well pull this whole storm system out over here over California. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Again, I'm not a meteorologist, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the wind directions and some of this stuff and figure out we got a problem potentially. Okay. And then, of course, look, the jet stream has changed a little, and notice it is pulling up the eastern seaboard, but you also have this heavy flow here. This is still pretty far out. If this changes and this thing starts bringing it this way and this collapses, it is already weakened quite a bit. And then this Cat 4 hurricane could push straight through and then head right up the East Coast. So we'll watch that one. It could strengthen as well. The water temps out over this area are very, very warm, almost 90 degrees. And so that is what this thing needs to really strengthen, all right? But nonetheless, and it's still, as always, got this hot pocket over Texas. And I think we're 108 today. Record heat. And, of course, this is brutal on the beef industry, which Texas is the #1 beef producer. All right. Okay. Now, we take a look at the NASA birds. Again, these guys are parked. But if I click on these guys and you just want to see where they've been, not really been anywhere you could see. Just kind of hopping around California, not doing too much in the way of getting out. Look at this one. I mean, just over Los Angeles, nothing out here. You'd expect to see something coming out. Take a look. And then we got this one. This is currently airborne. That is just a little King Air. Doesn't look like just getting airborne. Out here, this will be your hurricane hunters. So we'll click on them just to see where they're heading. It looks like they are just arriving on location. There's 2 of them out there. Here's the second one. And that one looks to either just have landed. It looks like it just landed. Now that you would expect to see. This is what you expect NOAA to be doing out, running through the storm, gathering data. Okay. All right. That's what you expect to see. But anyway, that's where they are right now. We back up. This is their active map. So we talk weather. If you haven't followed these guys, this is actually over on the Watchers. This is a place that I go to for a lot of my Monkey Minutes. Just a lot of good information. Earth changes, severe weather, space weather, right? But just notice here, September 8th, that'll be today. Historic rainfall paralyzes Hong Kong. All right, so Hong Kong is getting flooded. It talks about some earthquakes. And then you get down into here. You've got an extremely close approach of an asteroid. It's the 5th closest on record. It's at 0.03 lunar distance. My understanding is there are 5 of these coming through here very soon that they're not overly concerned about, but they are all near Earth passes. Okay, so eyes on the skies for that. And then we've got some of this other stuff here. You've got record-breaking, I guess a typhoon is coming through, causing massive flooding in that Hong Kong region. And then severe floods hitting Turkey and extreme rainfall in Greece. So, of course, they are pretty closely knitted together. But that is, that's where we are. We get over to space weather side of the house, and then that'll help us kind of transition in. This, it has been about a month since we've seen anything major, but this is the last X flare that hit. And those things disrupt everything. Communications, they take satellites offline. There's a kind of a big to-do when that happens, okay? That brings us to this, which is an event that is being held next week. It's the EIS Council. It's called EarthX 2023, and it has to do with cyber attacks or EMP attacks. And it's a black sky event that's going to be held September 14th, 2023. And they do this every year, but it's a kind of like when you watch them run the models for, pandemics, okay? These guys are always out in front of what seems to be coming. And this black sky event is, these cyber attacks are getting more and more intrusive, and especially with AI coming online. So they are talking, that the potential or the possibility for these black sky events to happen grows by the day. And here, just take you over to Bitdefender and the cyber threat map today. Look at what's popping off here in the United States. Now, the orange boxes are attacks. The white, if we go to the legend here, are spam attacks. The orange are infections. The reds are attacks. This is a major hub right here. And when that gets hit, it slows everything down. So you may notice that if you're on, one of your streaming networks and it just kind of spins for a little bit, it's because of this kind of thing. It's very disruptive. But if it gets in and messes with things like, air traffic control, we've seen the FAA have to shut down and ground flights several times. We've seen United have to do it in recent days, where they grounded all of their fleet because they had some type of an anomaly in their system. This is a very real risk. And if they ever hit our power grid, it's going to knock us offline. And who knows how long it could take to get us back online. But a very real threat to the United States and abroad. But this seems to be kind of the new face of the war. It's that electronic suite. And with the AI behind it, it gets through all the encryptions rapidly. And so we'll have to keep eyes on this. But that, I think, is the potential black sky event that is on the horizon. And where it happens is probably going to be right here in the United States. All right, let's move away from that. Okay, we were talking the other day about over the Atlantic. I said, man, this is kind of strange. I haven't seen this one before, but it was a Q4 drone that was a recon drone doing some telemetry flights, high altitude telemetry flights over the Atlantic off the east coast of Florida. And evidently it was tied to this. It didn't announce what it was about, but looks like the Army has scrubbed its latest test of the new Dark Eagle hypersonic weapon after pre-flight checks didn't pan out. But we've had folks in Florida that can actually see these when they're erected. Looks like there are two in the tubes, right? These are launch tubes that you're looking at here. And that is, you know, that's pretty cool stuff. But hypersonics, wave of the future. Again, you've already got Russia, who has the Satan II missile that'll travel 16,000 miles an hour. Remember, anything beyond the supersonic or Mach 5 is considered hypersonic, okay? So this would be one of the hypersonic missile tests. Dark Eagle. Remember, we were looking at that. That was taking place here, and it looks like that has scrubbed. We'll probably see that box come back here pretty soon, okay? All right. While we're at the NOTAM side of the house, just notice we still got this box right here. We've got this one here. This looks to be the Hurricane on this side, Hurricane on this side. That box is probably tied to the Hurricane. Flashbang is not in the U.S., so that is a permanent TFR over his residence. Again, you're going to see these little orange ones. Those are TFRs, but they're over football stadiums, and that's because we are now into NFL season. And then this one is Flight Inspection Ops exercise schedule. Flight Inspection Ops. Okay. Let's go over to Europe. While we're looking at this, the place we're going to be honing in on is right here in just a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about this, the things going on in Azerbaijan. And Turkey's got a big hand and big role in that. But remember, too, there's a current outbreak or a war going on between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and this news that's coming in is not good. But I think, if I'm reading between the lines, it looks like maybe the U.S. is setting themselves up to come in and put some assets in here in country. And if they do that, it's going to make Russia very nervous, because that ain't far from them, right? Russia goes in and out of Georgia quite a bit. They're here in Sochi, and yeah, that's right on their southern tip on the eastern side. So that would make them probably not too happy. All right. All right. Speaking of Flashbang, this is his schedule for today, Friday the 8th, and it looks like he is headed. He's arriving in New Delhi at 9:55 a.m., 6:55 p.m. local here Eastern time, and in the U.S. So that hasn't happened yet, but he is currently arriving. He got into Ramstein early this morning. He's going to be there until for a little while, I guess, and then rolling out. All right. I didn't see him in the air when I looked, but that is his schedule for today. All right, let's get into some of the news going on. This is critical. You may remember Yellen went over and tripping on mushrooms as she met with the Chinese, because they had just defaulted on some of their bond interest in the trillions of dollars, I believe it was. But check this out. China is pushing ahead with the de-dollarization. Remember, they are tied into BRICS, hoarding gold for the 10th straight month after slashing Treasury holdings to a 14-year low. So they are dumping the dollar, buying up gold, and that is in preparation for getting over to I think they want to be the go-to. Remember, they had the petro yuan that they were standing up for trading oil, and I think that is what is behind that, okay? Again, not good for the U.S. economy. And here's your Bohica moment. If you're not familiar with what that stands for, Bohica is an acronym that means bend over. Here it comes again. U.S. announces a new $600 million aid package for Ukraine to boost the counteroffensive, yet we give nothing to Maui to take care of those folks. I say nothing, very close to nothing. An insult, basically, all right? And so if you kind of counting the dollars here, let's just take a quick look. This is getting over, I think we're at about 130 billion so far. Here are all the numbers that we know of. Keep in mind that there are certainly, without a doubt, some dollars that are being pushed through that we don't see, okay, and under the black programs, all right? But you can see 26 funding operations that we are well aware of since this whole thing began in February of 2023. That is only for this. No, that can't be right. Yeah, it is right. So it kicked off in 2022. So this is 2023 numbers right here, folks. Look at the amount of money we have pushed to Ukraine. It's just sickening. Absolutely sickening. All right. Good Lord, that's a lot of money. Think of what we could do here in the U.S. if we quit spending money over there. And do know that if Trump was in office, there wouldn't be a red penny going over to those guys. All right. Remember, Zelensky's a guy that they tried to set up Trump on and threw him under the bus. He was baited by our agency to have this phone call and discussion, and they ended up impeaching him as part of, yet again, another witch hunt. Yuck. All right. Judge orders Texas to remove the floating border buoys by next Friday, and a win for the Biden DOJ. Yes, I just said the B word, but let's see what happens. I have a feeling that Texas has a little bit in their quiver when it comes to states' rights, and I think we may tell the feds to go pack sand, but let's see what happens. Yeah, not good. If this comes down, it just opens up the floodgates. This has slowed people down quite a bit in terms of getting across the border in Texas. All right, this is what I was talking about, this stuff going on in Azerbaijan. They're pursuing the elimination of an entire Christian population and its churches. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Feel free to sound it out on your own, but it is a data point for you. The persecution of Christians, we knew that was going to come, and it is definitely on the uptick. But I think this may be a ploy to put some assets in country, and that will make Russia very nervous given us in that location, because now it takes us over from Europe and it puts us into the eastern side of the Black Sea, which would be on the eastern side of Crimea, which is a stronghold for the Russians. So again, this could very well be a ploy to get us there. And as I've been mentioning multiple times, Poland, they are on the uptick. They want to create the largest army in Europe within 2 years, and the clock is now ticking. Listen, there is nothing and zero indication that anybody is de-escalating. In fact, it looks like everybody is still ratcheting up. And, war is inevitable. I think it is coming, and I don't see any way we're going to get out of this unless we have Trump get into office. And I think that would stop a lot of this. He would probably immediately put a cease to the funding of NATO, and he would probably start pulling our stuff back and de-escalate this within a week or two of him being in office. But right now, deep state, they know the clock is ticking, and they've got to act to maintain their deep state in Ukraine. All right. Speaking of ramping up, now I had heard in recent months, there was an article that I had read from, I think it was the manufacturer Ruger, who said that their sales hadn't gone through the roof. Everything looked to be kind of plateauing. But I think that may have just been some PSYOP information, because this one is out by Zero Hedge. 2 million guns sold in August. That's last month. The 49th straight month of over $1 million in sales. So let me tell you, the citizenry of the United States is gunning up like they have never done so in the past. And I think that is a very good indicator of what is about to break loose here in our country. And so when you see the survey flights that we've been talking about, the fact that they've had 30,000 survey flights, primarily over the United States, but around the world since January, that tells you they are mapping a battlefield. And if things go south, if they suspend a constitution, which the rumors were having, then yeah, then they may go on a gun grab, and then you got a civil war here in the United States. So this could get really, really ugly really quickly. All right. So stay frosty. Definitely keep that powder dry, because that number right there is a very big indicator that things may just be heading in another direction here for our country. All right. Okay. NATO to conduct the first major drill focused on repelling Russian attacks. That's getting ready to happen. I think it's in the Baltic Sea, but they just announced that, dubbed the Northern Coast exercise. So when we get over to this side of it, on the NOTAMs, we're going to be looking for some new boxes that are going to pop in the region relative to that exercise, okay? All right, last little thing we want to cover here on the news cycle side of the house. Elon Musk secretly manipulated Starlink to hamstring Ukrainian attack against Russia. How am I in this war is his question. Well, remember, they set up Starlink. They put it over the region so that the Ukrainians had the ability to have comms during this time, because a lot of stuff is offline. It looks like Elon's been playing that side of the house pretty strong. I think Elon really knows where everything is relative to the deep state, okay? And clearly he is not in favor of these guys. He's got money hand over fist, the wealthiest guy in the United States, probably in the world by far. Now, Putin has a lot of money too, but I don't know that I would say he's pro-Russian. I would say that he's just not pro-deep state, that he sees where these folks are set up shop, and he knows what they're doing because he has insight to what they're doing when they start engaging him as a contractor. So it looks like he has, he's kind of coming across as, the modern day Iron Man, so to speak, right? Where he's got the money and the funds to do whatever he wants to do. So anyway, Tony Stark is probably going to be his new nickname. All right, let's get over here to this side. As we look into the bases and the base operations, what do we have going on? Biggs Army Airfield, dead quiet today. So we'll just move on from that. Nothing on the border docket. Over to Dover, looks like we got a couple Atlas Airs coming inbound from Chicago. And those are probably going to come in, pick up some artillery, and then move it out. Camber Flight coming in also. And let's see if anything else. Coletta Bird coming in from Columbus, Ohio, 747. And then it looks like the Atlas Air's headed to Ramstein. Amerijet headed to Charleston. And they could be bringing some stuff down, or some troops maybe. And let's see. I don't see anything else catches my eye there. Over to Ramstein, we have a spar flight coming in from Terceira Island. That's going to be one of your blue and whites, the dignitaries, probably accompanying Flashbang. And then, of course, we've got this 747 coming in from Dover we just looked at. Outbound, a couple Reach C-17s. And let's see what this 777 coming, leaving, headed to Baltimore, Washington. That's going to be a C-130. And let's move on over here to the German Air Force. We've got 6 on the board right now. One of them is an A400. That's kind of like their C-130. Coming out of Goose Bay, headed to Washington Dulles. So you got the German Air Force coming inbound to D.C. And everything else looks to be in country. All right, forward operating base. This is going to be RZE Poland. Let me just go through. We have a Camber Flight coming in from Portsmouth, 747. Got an Antonov coming in. That's one of your big birds. is C-130. I'm not seeing anything on the board there. Outbound, same thing. Very quiet from that standpoint over in RZE Poland right now. Everything else you see on the board, that's going to be commercial flights. Same thing here. Although, man, look at Constanta stepping it up. You got a one Duke flight coming in from RZE Poland. Again, these are going to be base commanders coming in from Wiesbaden. You got Brio 68. That is also taking some flights in and out. Camber flight coming in from Wheeler Sac. That's Fort Drum. 767-200. That's troops coming into Constanta. And then we get over here to this side. Outbound Camber flight. Looks like the Duke boys have left the building. And the rest of these look to be, you got a lot of C-130 activity going on right now with these hazy flights. All right, moving on. Let's look at the Cambers. Just got this one coming out of Rota and this one coming out of Constanta. So those are the only two on the board right now. So that's your Constanta flight. One, it looks like this is lit up. Don't see the flight in air, but looks like it's headed down to Malta. So we got a lot of movement going. It's not over the top in terms of the forward operating base, but around the region, if you look at the C-17 traffic I showed you, and we look at these other flights moving around, it does look like there is some serious positioning of assets going on right now in the region. And then, of course, here, the Royal Air Force Transport looks like, where are these boys headed here? Interesting. I guess that is considered Norway? That's kind of strange. All right, well, that's where this one's headed to. That's up into the cold region. And this one coming out of the Middle East. So this is the Brits, again, in and out of the U.S. This I do find interesting. That Alexandria, we do know, is a 72-hour holding facility. Could they be picking up some folks and taking them back over here to put them on some of the prison barges for their new home for a little while? Don't know. But, yeah, we'll keep our eye on it. All right. I know there is a military base there in Alexandria as well. They could be going there, but who knows? Very strange. All right. This is going to be your only NATO bird that is up. That's coming out of Portugal, Spain, it looks like. And Delgado, actually, not Portugal. Well, it's out of Portugal. Spain is here. Portugal is here. I just meant the region. But it looks like Delgado, they're coming out of that, headed back to maybe even going into England from there. Omni, again, serving many masters. This one, they're just moving some Canadians from Manchester to Toronto. We'll move on. National Cargo, very active. 2 747s, 157. That one's coming out of Iceland, it looks like. But the other two we can see, let me see. Yeah, there it is, coming out of Iceland. Maybe headed to Alaska, given that, or that's tied to this one, so maybe not. So it looks like these are the guys, they're picking up more artillery, more than likely. And then this guy looks to be headed back eastbound, so westbound, sorry, from, looks like Qatar, maybe. Qatar. And then Western Global, 2 747s. These guys are moving a lot of artillery. That's that 155 Mike stuff. They'll be doing that for a long time. Remember, we borrowed on loan 500,000 artillery rounds from Seoul, South Korea. And we've been bringing them over to the guys in Ukraine as they shoot like stormtroopers. And then last up is going to be your immigrant machine. Well, look at this. Amazon is busy. We're into that fourth quarter where things are starting to pick up around. So you may see a little more stuff coming inbound to the country because Amazon is going to start kind of, on the uptick, getting ready for Christmas, et cetera, right? So when you see these guys headed into the interior of our country, that's more than likely they're headed to the Amazon locations to pick up the workers to bring them back. Okay, cheap labor. And then these guys are folks getting deported, it looks like. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it today for our SITREP. I hope you guys have a safe and relaxing weekend. Again, just keep that powder dry, stay frosty. When you start looking at the numbers like that relative to gun sales, that is a pretty big leading indicator that people are very concerned about where things are going. Okay. All right. That's it. You guys stay safe. Talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. Check out the latest gear and products over at monkeywerxus.com.